this weekend's Pride is particularly significant because it marks 50 years since homosexuality was decriminalised in England and Wales. With me now are Percy, Stephen and Roger Lockyer, who've been together for 51 years. They had a civil partnership in 2005 and got married 3 years ago. And well, first of all, congratulations for being together for such a long time.
Well, thank you.
But when you got together, things were so different, Percy. What was it like being gay and being a couple when it wasn't legal?
Well, it was very odd. I mean, I was working as an actor, and I also then eventually went to work at a theatre school. So from my perspective, it was quite easy. Roger was working as a professor at the University of London, and so his was a very low key, you know. But what was so extraordinary is that when we did meet, shall we say, colleagues of the other, I'm quite sure they knew that we were a couple, but they never let on.
So you never had to say?
And so we never had to say. And we, shall we say, continued the pretense.
Which must have been difficult, Roger, because when you're in love with someone, you want to share that happiness with other people.
You do, that's true. But don't forget, we had and have a large number of gay friends. And obviously, we were completely open with them, as they were with us.
Open in private, though?
Open in private. Looking back, that's what strikes me, that we self-censored all the time. You were aware that you mustn't make certain jokes. For instance, I'd love to put my arm around you at certain moments, but one thought, I don't know, better not.
And prior to that, you used to go to clubs that were outlawed. What was that like? Because I know you said you always had to keep an eye on the back door in case the police raided.
That's right. And as I mentioned, you had to sign in to get into a gay club, so that if the police raided, they at least they could say, these are their names, etc., etc. And of course, there was dancing and you know, you could get a drink and all that kind of thing. And if somebody said, the police are here, everybody just scattered. And you sort of went to the side of the room or something, pretending you were just sort of nonchalantly passing the time.
We can laugh about it now because gay clubs are in every city and no one thinks twice about it. But at the time, was there fear there? Were you worried about that kind of?
Oh, there was always fear.
Yeah.
Because you knew people who had been arrested, you read about people who'd been arrested. And for instance, the Montague Bewley case and Peter Wildeblood, that was really a turning point.
And what about prejudice outside your circle?
I have to say, I came across it very rarely, and I was amazed. I obviously won't name them, but I can think of a number of people who were colleagues of mine, Christian. I say that because they were, you know, conventional, upholding moral standards. But they came and stayed with us. We had a house in France. One time we handed over our bed to them. So, you know.
Let's bring it right up to date, Percy, because you've been together for a long time, but you finally had the civil partnership and then a marriage as well. Do you feel now, finally, that you have equal rights with straight married couples?
To a certain extent, yes. But there still is a debate about pension rights and things like that. And one just doesn't know what's going to happen because they don't go back, so we've been told, the whole length of your relationship.
So it won't go back 51 years?
It might not. So it depends what the institution decides.
And what about, Roger, you know, 50 years being celebrated by Pride this week? What do you think when you see younger generations who are not shackled when it comes to being honest about their sexuality?
Oh, I think it's marvellous. I just wished that I'd grown up in those circumstances, but I grew up in a world in which homosexuality was a taboo topic. I remember some friend of my father's who told him that he thought it was worse than murder. And that was generally accepted attitude. And to think that that's gone, I never thought it would.
And obviously it's going here, there's still pockets, but around the world there is still a lot to do, clearly.
That's right, there's a lot to convince in Europe and Africa.
Other parts of the world.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much for coming in. Congratulations again on 51 years together.
Well,
Thank you very much.